this is going to be a longer video because I think it's a very important subject and something that bears discussion on a lengthier level. So this is a good car ride video for those of you who have commutes. I want to talk about your sense of self in this video and how to heal it from narcissistic abuse. So first we're going to kind of go into what your sense of self is, and then I'm actually going to recommend a book, and I'm going to read quite a few quotes out of this book because they're so applicable to this video. So first, let's talk what your sense of self is. Quite simply, your sense of self is where you end and others begin. So why don't I say it in the reverse? Why don't I say it's where you begin and others end? Because we all begin from the same place, which is being alive. So our starting place is life itself. So that's where you begin. Your sense of self is not where you start, but where you actually end. So one of the primary side effects of dealing with a narcissist or narcissistic people is they profoundly damage your sense of self. And they do it in multiple ways. Gaslighting is one of their favorite, which is where they basically bend what you know to be reality and make you start questioning the reality itself, your interpretation of reality, and all those things. That's one way they do it. But they also do it in multiple other ways. So when someone does not have a firm sense of self, picture a rubber band on a table. When a rubber band is on a table, it's round. Generally, they're usually not curled up. For this example, they'll be just the round rubber band on the table. When narcissists invade your life, it's almost like they're taking their finger and poking in the edge of that rubber band, and they're bending your boundaries. They're bending your sense of self. They're pushing themselves into your boundary and reshaping it entirely. Okay? As you heal and start to recover, you become less of a rubber band and more of like a brass ring. But that's kind of extreme. I mean, no one's that rigid. Probably shouldn't be that rigid. But my point is, your boundaries start to strengthen to where it's not as easy as taking your finger and just pushing the side of the rubber band and changing the shape. So how do narcissists alter your sense of self? They gaslight you. They make you second guess every decision that you make. And the thing is, when people talk decisions, people think big things like cars, homes, where to live, what city, should I take the job? And yeah, those are decisions. But there are other decisions that you make that narcissists question every day. For example, do you like to sleep? You probably do. If you've been dealing with these people, you're probably fundamentally exhausted. But if you like to sleep, like I do, I enjoy a good nap, and I have no shame about that. But I've dealt with narcissists in the past who would be like, you're still in the bed? You're sleeping your whole life away. You got to get up. You're too young to be sleeping like this. And while it seems like it's coming from a genuine, sincere place, what it really is an attack on who you are. Because that's just where you end. You're a person who needs a lot of sleep. And what's wrong with that? Is your life productive? Are you accomplishing your goals? Are you taking good care of your family? Okay, so if you need an extra nap, how is that shaking the world? How is that causing a major problem? Do you see what I'm saying? Sometimes they attack what you eat. And really think about that. What you eat, they're attacking. Now, there could be a massive debate over food. And of course, we're concerned about our friends and family members. We want them to make healthy decisions because we want them to be around and be in our lives and have their own life for years to come. So I'm not really talking about when people attack food for health purposes. I mean someone who's like, oh, you're going to Applebee's again this week? Wow, you go there a lot, huh? Oh, I didn't think their food was all that great. It's like digs. It's like it's not coming from a place of concern. It's almost like if there was a question behind the statement, the question would be, what's wrong with you? You eat Applebee's 3 times a week? Do you see what I'm saying? So it's almost like it's a judgment. It's a criticism. And the problem with it, when your boundaries are like a rubber band, you question that. So then you go home and you go, wow, well, maybe I do. This is before you get better. You go home and you go, maybe I do eat Applebee's too much. And so now you're on the internet and you're trying to find healthy recipes and you're trying to figure out how to make a list and put it all together, and you're trying to, do this whole new healthy food challenge that's not really motivated by you. It's motivated by the narcissist that's taking a dig at your boundary. I have no problem with people who want to change the way they eat for themselves, for the sake of their health, their life, their energy. I have a problem when people do it to impress or to make someone else approve of them. That's when I have a problem with it. So you're out here doing all these extra things that you don't normally do, trying to reshape the way you eat to impress somebody else. So now your boundary is bent. They pushed their finger in, because right now you're just the person who eats at Applebee's 3 times a week. There's no judgment inherently carried with that, because you have your reasons. The point is, you are who you are right now. Right now, Applebee's is within your boundary, and you just own that. And when you're ready to change that, you change it. So they attack your sleep, they attack the way you eat. Sometimes they attack how social or not social you are. They'll tell you things like, oh, you need to get out of the house more. You need to go do this and do that and be this person and be that person. And the thing is, when your boundaries are weak, you consider what other people are saying, and you think that maybe it might be true, because you don't have a firm rooting, and this is just where I end. That's where you end, and this is where I end. So then what that looks like is, now all of a sudden, okay, you've made a commitment, you're going to go out once a week, and you're, out here buying clothes and on the internet trying to find places to go in your city, and you're trying to recruit people to go with you, and you might pull it off once or twice, but by week 3 you're so exhausted, but you're trying to be someone that you're not, so you're going to push through, and now by week 4 you're just totally spent, and now you have no energy for anyone or anything, and your bank account is also reflective of this social life that you're trying to have. Why? Because someone pushed in your boundary, which right now is a person who doesn't go out much. You never know what could happen in life. Things may change, circumstances may change, and ultimately you might become someone who goes out more later on. The point is, right now, where you end, your boundary line contains a person who doesn't go out much. The point is, the narcissist takes a lot of time gently pushing in the sides of your rubber band until it's completely twisted out of shape. And so when this person leaves you and abandons you, you often spend a lot of time trying to figure out and reclaim who you are, because you've allowed someone else to tell you who you were. Here's another way that they try to influence your sense of self. So I had an interaction with one recently, and I thought it was funny. This narc and I were talking, and they kept saying, on a scale of 1 to 10, how frustrated are you? And I was like, 1 being the lowest. I was like, 1, I'm not very frustrated with this process at all. Actually, I completely understand it, and it's good. And throughout the whole conversation, they kept weaving the word frustrated in. They were like, and I know that can be frustrating for a person, and I get, blah, 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 and then I get how frustrating that is and probably is for you. It's like they were determined to make me believe that I was frustrated about something that I wasn't. And by the time they were done, I was frustrated that they kept trying to make me feel frustrated about something that I wasn't frustrated about. So they won. I don't know if she could pick up on my irritation, but I wasn't irritated about the project. I was irritated that she kept trying to tell me how I felt about it. And I was fine, and I still am fine about it. But the fact that it was that constant, well, you're frustrated, aren't you? Aren't you frustrated? You should be, because I could see how that would be frustrating. You probably are frustrated and you just don't know it. No, I know how I feel. So a narcissist will often try to alter and make you feel things you don't feel. The point is, they're trying to get you to deny how you feel and accept how they feel instead. That is a violation of your boundary. That's more than just pushing in the edge. That's like just sitting a coffee cup right in the middle of the rubber band. Boom, just right in there. So hopefully I've given a healthy enough explanation and enough examples of what your sense of self is. Your sense of self is, this is where I stop and where someone else begins. So let me get into this book a little bit, and I highly recommend it. I don't think I got a chance to mention it on my other video where I did some book recommendations. This one is up there. This one is up among the holy grails for me. Highly, highly recommend this reading. It's called Where to Draw the Line, How to Set Healthy Boundaries Every Day by Anne Catherine. I would love to read just a few of the excerpts from this book, and you'll see how it relates to sense of self. It says, but there are some people who are dangerous or who love their power or control so much that a clear verbal boundary is seen as a challenge to be defeated. And a lot of narcissists are like that. When you set a boundary with them, when you set a preference, when you say this is who I am and I go no further than this, that's a challenge to them. And a lot of times they'll work overtime to override your boundary. This one's really good. You created this life by the people you let in and the people you shut out, by giving your time to the quests that matter, and by letting hours trickle toward lesser goals, through the pursuits to which you gave your energy, by the pressures to which you gave heed. In other words, you allowed your time to just trickle away from you. You allow people like vultures to steal your time from you. How many different ways is your time being stolen from you today? How is it being stolen from you at the office? How is it being stolen from you via social media? How is it being stolen from you at home? How do you allow it to be stolen, and how is it taken from you? Think of all the different pressures that we give into as a society. Baby showers, bridal showers, weddings, weddings, birthday parties, this, that, the other, come to this, come here, go there, travel here, do this. And you know what? By all means, if you have the money and the resources and the energy to accomplish all those things, I say go for it. You're blessed. Go for it. Enjoy life. If that gives you energy and if it gives you a sense of recharging to do all those things, go for it. But most of the people I know are so drained by their social commitments. And I'm not saying social commitments or the people who request them of you are narcissists. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, your boundaries being violated and you allow it, like you left the gate open, you know, and so people just come in, they swoop in, they take your time, they swoop out, and you're left so exhausted because the boundary has been violated. Because what you really needed to say that day was, you know what, I just can't go. I'm sorry. You all have a great time. I can't go. Healthy people will not belittle you, criticize you, guilt you, pressure you, make you feel bad for your no. Narcissistic people will, or if they don't do those things, they'll find a way to punish you later. So they'll agree to something that you set up, and then they'll pull the plug on the last minute to kind of try to even the score. So that's the difference between a healthy person and a narcissistic person. By the limits you set, you protect the integrity of your day, your energy, and spirit. A boundary is the way you do things. When you violate your own boundaries or let another violate them, stuffing spills out of your life. Look at the parts of your life that work, that have integrity. This wholeness comes from the limits you have set to protect them. I love that one. So really think about the areas of your life that you would say are going extremely well. The reason they're going extremely well is because you have boundaries around them, whether you realize it or not. So let's say you're a person that has really good money management. You've got a healthy account, you're doing well, you have little to no debt. You have some type of financial boundary that keeps that in check. Let's say you're a person who has a really nice home. Your house is really clean. It looks nice. It may not be the most decorated in the whole world, but it's well kept. You have some type of boundary that you don't allow to go any further. So if your sense of self was your home, you protect it somehow, either by not allowing trash to pile up, maybe you vacuum every day, who knows, but you have a boundary around it. Narcissists have either completely bent or obliterated your personal boundary, and that's why you're so exhausted and drained, because literally your life force is being siphoned out of you. Let me go on. It's the little decisions that can use up our lives. It's the little decisions that can use up our lives. Your time is your life. No one is as accountable for the use of your time as you, and no one will pay the consequences for those decisions as much as you will. That one's really deep. Let that one sink in. We hurt ourselves when we give our time, the minutes of our lifespan, to pursuits that don't match our values. Yet, an agenda that collapses too easily, a plan that is blown aside by every shift of the wind, can mean that the minutes of your life are being vacuumed by the needs of others. And if those others are narcissists, they are more than being vacuumed. They are being drained. I like the way they worded that. An agenda that collapses too easily. That's exactly what I mean by the rubber band analogy. What a narcissist sees in a person, or people who tend to fall victim to their types of behavior, is they see agendas that are collapsed too easily. They know that they're going to be able to get anything they want out of you. Anything that they want out of you. Do not allow your agenda to be collapsed easily by a narcissist, by anyone really, but people who are narcissists pick up on that stuff, and that's why they make you a target, because they see that this person has no boundaries. Their boundaries are flimsy. I think I'm going to stop there and kind of go on to another thought. I'll put the title of this book in the description box because there's so many highlights I can't choose which ones to read to you guys. I should just read down the list. But I want to give one more piece of advice for healing your sense of self after you've dealt with a narcissist or a series of narcissists. You kind of have to start putting the fence back together. And there's several ways that I recommend doing this. My first recommendation is to take a social media purge. So Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, anything that allows you to read someone else's thoughts, take a purge from that. And the reason I say that is, or take a break from that. The reason I say that is, you need to take some time to experience your own thoughts, your own original thoughts that well up from your internal mind. When you spend your whole entire day listening, even to people like me, or reading other people's thoughts and thinking about them and commenting on them, and it's healthy at times, but when your sense of self has been violated for a long time, at some point you don't know what your thoughts are, what someone else's thoughts are. Pretty soon you start speaking in cliches because you've loaded your mind with cliches and you haven't had an original thought in years. And if you have an original thought, you're quick to dismiss it because you have trained yourself to not trust yourself. You've trained yourself to not take yourself seriously. So you quickly dismiss your thoughts in favor of someone else's. So I would recommend about 30 days, and it's hard. It is very hard to take a social media purge that long if you're way deep into it. If you're not, don't start. Congratulations, don't start. But if you're way deep in, take a purge so you can spend some time thinking your own thoughts. That's my first piece of advice. My second recommendation is to start to refuse bad treatment more often. And I use the term bad treatment loosely. I mean it literally, but I also mean it kind of loosely. So here's what I mean. Let's say you go to the grocery store. Let's say you spend $100 on groceries and you picked up a $3 bag of chips that turned out to be stale, right? Your first inclination will probably be, man, that sucks. You'll probably toss the chips in the trash and you'll just take it as a loss. You'll say, well, I'll never buy that brand again. And you'll take your $3 loss. When you're in recovery mode, I want you to put those chips back in the bag. I want you to find your receipt and I want you to march it back up to the grocery store. Why? Because I want you to start to get into the habit of saying no to things that are not correct. You paid for fresh chips. You did not receive fresh chips. So you should refuse fresh chips and have the grocery store eat that cost. That is on them to provide you with fresh chips. You paid for fresh chips. So in a way, you've kind of been stolen from. And I know that's extreme. I hope you all aren't taking me super literal, but I'm actually also serious. Take the chips back. Yeah, you'll probably burn out the $3 in gas on the way to the grocery store to return them. That does not matter. The point is, you're refusing bad service. You're refusing bad deals. You're saying, no, I paid $3 for fresh chips. I want fresh chips or I want my money back. Now, do I think that this should be a lifestyle and a habit for you long term? No, because I mean, the trade-off long term is not going to reward you financially, but it will reward you mentally and spiritually, because what you're saying is, I expect good treatment. I expect fair treatment, even on something as small as a $3 bag of chips. Okay? Here's another example. The wrong food or food that's just kind of off comes to your table. You go out to a restaurant and the food is not great. You know, it's not horrible, but it's not what you paid for. And your inclination is just eat the food, pay the tab, and move on with life. We'll just never come here again. And that's fine. But when you're in recovery mode, I want you to send the food back within the first couple of bites. Don't eat it all. But once you realize this is not correct or this is not good, send it back. And it's hard for people who are codependent. We don't like to hurt people's feelings. We don't like for people to be mad at us. We don't like to embarrass other people. But the thing is, they weren't embarrassed when they sent that out to you. They saw that. They looked at that and they called it good. And they sent it out to you with no shame. So you should send it back with no shame. And it's going to feel, for the women, it's going to feel bitchy. And for the men, you're going to feel like you're being a dick or you're being rude, like a jerk. And it will feel that way, but I want you to push through and feel it anyway. And don't do it with rudeness. You do it with politeness. Hello, waiter, waitress. This isn't what I expected when I ordered. May I have something else, or may I talk through our options about a refund? Okay? When you don't get what you asked for and you paid for it, there's an imbalance. And over time, that chips away at your sense of self. Don't allow that imbalance to occur. Send it back. Once you've healed, yeah, you can take a loss every now and then because your sense of self is strong enough to take little losses like that. But when you're way down and out, you can't keep taking these kinds of hits because there's not much left to hit. Send it back. There's one more piece of advice, and that is to start honoring your no. So what this looks like is someone comes up to you in the office on a Thursday, you're exhausted, and all you planned on doing was going to the grocery store to return your $3 bag of chips and going home. And a coworker comes up to you and says, hey, you want to go to happy hour? Now your inclination is to go, well, I don't have anything else to do, and you know, they are inviting me and I should be social, but I'm so tired. Here's your boundary. All I really wanted to do was go home. There's your boundary right there. And as soon as you violate it, it's almost like, imagine if your lover told you they were going to do something and then they just didn't do it, how you would feel towards your lover. So you earlier in your day told yourself, I'm going to go home and I'm going to rest my body. That's going to be my gift to myself. When you take your coworker up on their happy hour invitation, you just didn't do what you told yourself you were going to do. It's the same thing as if your lover didn't do what they told you they were going to do for you. How would you feel towards your lover? So when you do it to yourself, do you think you feel any different? You might think you do, but you don't. So you accept that happy hour invitation, you go and you spend $21 that you really didn't have to spend, but you spent it anyway. Now you're tired, you're a little bit more broke, but hey, you went to happy hour, and now you're suffering the next day in terms of exhaustion because you didn't honor your boundary and go home. Your lover didn't honor your request and come home. So it's the same thing. So I want you to start honoring your no's. And this one is probably the hardest one, especially for those of you who have big friend circles and big family circles, because friend circles and family circles do not take no's easily. When you are deep in, when you're heavily webbed into those circles, the expectation is that you're there. You know, they don't take too kindly to no's, but what is it doing to you? Yeah, you're there. You're in every picture. You're smiling. You know, you've spent thousands of dollars this year so far to be in every picture, but what is it doing to you? What is it fundamentally doing to your spirit and your soul? It's destroying you from the inside out. Slowly but surely, it's eating away at your energy, your vitality. your motivation. You're wondering why you just feel so burnt out, why you're chugging caffeine, because your sense of self is just trickling down the drain little by little. The gate has been thrown wide open, and people are just swooping in like vultures, taking what they can get from you. So this has been a very long video, but I hope it's been informative. It's been fun for me to do. I am going to post the name of that book in the comment section for you guys. But again, the title of the book is Where to Draw the Line, How to Set Healthy Boundaries Every Day by Anne Catherine. I highly recommend reading it. Thank you all so much for your participation in the comment section. Hello to all my new subscribers and welcome. And that's it for this video. Take care, you guys. Have a good one.